We spent hundreds of billions money to put up our own plan Bs. That's why we can withstand the first round of attack. And this year in 2020, since we already gained experience from last year and we got a stronger team, I think we are more confident that we can survive even further attacks.
Professor, what is your take on his message there at Davos?
Hi, Elaine. Nice to talk to you again. I think we need to look at both sides of his claim. So on the one hand, I think Huawei is going to be in a tougher spot in this year because if you remember, last year around May, President Trump announced the ban of selling to Huawei, but then he subsequently granted 3 90-day temporary licensing to U.S. companies to continue selling to Huawei. But that expired by November last year. So I think this year it would be harder for Huawei to buy high-tech products from U.S. companies. So I think they will be in a tougher spot, and also because they are running down on the stockpile of integrated circuits that they have accumulated before the ban. That said, the silver lining is that Huawei is to purchase up to $40 billion worth of high-tech products in 5 years from European countries. So in other words, Huawei is able to still work with advanced European countries, especially Scandinavian countries and Germany, to continue source some of the high-tech products. And I think Ren Zhenfei also talked about that they have been spending around $15 to $20 billion every year in the past decades on R&D. So their Harmony OX operating system is going to be brought in full line in August this year. So I think time will tell whether or not that is a reliable alternative to the Google Android system. And I think that is very critical to Huawei for them to continue to sell cell phones and other tablets and so on and so forth.
And adding to all of what you just said, the CFO, his daughter Meng Wanzhou, is in the middle of her extradition case in Canada. It's been nearly a year now, past a year. So do you think it's really impacted Huawei's day-to-day business dealings? Is Huawei saying, hey, we're not just surviving, but we're thriving?
I think it definitely has a negative impact on Huawei's growth, but I think for them, the most critical and important challenge is the technology. So Ren Zhenfei's daughter is basically the CFO, and it's very important, of course, for a company to be able to thrive, to have very strong financial power. But I think the biggest challenge comes from technology. So whether or not their Harmony OX system can sustain, and whether they are able to continue to build their 5G network and roll it out in countries around the world, I think that is the more critical challenge that they have to face with.
Overall, what do you think have been the biggest messages from Chinese CEOs and leaders at Davos this week?
I think the message, again, is that, China is growing and China needs to develop, and China wants to build inclusive development, not just within China, but also team up with countries around the world. From BRI to the Belt and Road Initiative to, Huawei's positive message, I think it's really showcased for the world that China's growth is inevitable, but China is going to grow peacefully and inclusively, and it's going to be a boon for the global economy. It's not going to be a sort of a zero-sum game that if China grows, then the rest of the world would have to stagnate, which is the message I think President Trump is trying to deliver at Davos, which is American first. It's good for the U.S. economy. We don't really need to care too much about the rest of the world.
All right, Professor.